Hello and welcome once again. So I'm going to do another video on herpes. The only reason I'm doing this video is this is going to go a little more in depth of what people are taught and a little more of why they're taught this, and this just again goes in more detail of everything that I'm trying to teach everyone. And if you've watched all my videos, or most of them, you're going to understand this. If this is your first video watching, you skip ahead, you're not going to probably still get it. And I suggest that you continue to watch more of these videos, especially the ones in the past 3 or 4 months from this particular video, the previous ones. Now, a lot of people are taught, told, and completely only believe that herpes will bind to your DNA, and that makes it impossible to get rid of. Yet our bodies are constantly rebuilding. Again, this is for people with the right nutrition. Or it's constantly degenerating, depleting, and going the opposite direction. So, for the majority of Americans, or people out of the US, that follow calories, fat, carbs, protein, unfortunately, you're never going to get better, and you're going to always get sicker, and you will die before 100 years old. Possibly even well before that, but I'm just making a point. The people that are living over 100 years old were in a much, much different time era, time frame, and a completely different food supply. So the diseases will exist mostly within the past several decades, when not only did Monsanto come out in the mid-90s, actually they came out really in agriculture in 2001, but some forms of these particular chemicals started in the mid-90s, as well as there's plenty of other chemicals dating back to the 60s and 70s, but they've been adding more and more. So the point here is, if you're following this trend, and you're the typical sheep, you will be sick forever. You will continue to add more diseases, and you will die in early age. It's very, very simple. So let's look at this article, which again, I want to show you, is by, wow, Cold Spring Harbor Perspectives in Biology. People that, again, are taught this by the system are going to tell you, number one, herpes simplex virus encodes 7 proteins necessary for viral DNA. And it's going to go in here, viral DNA synthesis, and it's going to go in about the origin of binding proteins, and it's going to list a variety of information, and it's going to come down here of how they function during HSV replication, and the potential roles of host, repair, and recombination proteins will also be discussed. So they're going to go in here and they're going to talk about basically herpes, and it's a large family of double-stranded DNA viruses responsible for many human and veterinary diseases. Well, if you feed cats a raw food diet, their coat gets shiny, they get healthier, they live a lot longer, and they don't really have any disease. You feed them cooked food, you feed them a bunch of junk, they get sick and they die early. Just thought I'd mention that point. Although members of this family differ in tissue, and it's going to go on the whole 9 yards here of the interactions with their host and the mechanisms by which they replicate their DNA during their productive infection are largely conserved. And they're going to go into the molecular mechanisms involved in the herpes virus DNA replication regulation are of interest, as they provide important models for the study. And they talked about the DNA replication. Again, I'm just scanning through this because I don't want to make this video too long. Many of the replication proteins encoded by herpes viruses represent functional analogs, and it's going to go again into the replication machinery, and it's going to talk about similarities and differences. Then in addition, viral enzymes involved in DNA replication have provided a rich source of useful targets for antiviral therapy. Wow! What is this whole article referring to? Let's read that line again. In addition, viral enzymes involved in DNA replication have provided a rich source of useful targets for antiviral therapy. Well, isn't that a drug? Well, antiviral really sounds like a drug to me. In fact, I know it's a drug. The point is, I'm being, again, very blunt in this particular video for people to hopefully understand. This is what people are taught, and this is what they're promoting. And they're going to go on to say the DNA replication of herpes virus 1 and 2, but refer on occasion to findings from other herpes viruses. And then it's just going to go in and it's going to talk about all this. So what am I leading to with this? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this particular video. So I want you to watch this video. This is very, very, very important. And listen to what she says, and then I'll explain to you who this person is and why this is so important.
The true nutrients for the human body are not proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. The true nutrients are minerals, vitamins, and enzymes. They naturally come in nutrition. I'm not talking about pills. They naturally come in fresh foods, in living foods, in organic foods, freshly prepared, not canned, jarred, pickled, preserved, salted, and dyed, and goodness knows what. That's not food anymore. In order to feed the body, you need every cell in your body, every tissue in your body, every organ in your body has to function together. And that's the big key about true healing. We are not talking about, well, you might have a joint that's hurting, you might have some arthritis, so the doctor gives you something for arthritis. That's not the problem. You've got to get to the underlying problem. Why is there arthritis? Why is the joint not working? Why are the joint membranes not functioning properly? Why is your body doing this to you? It's because it can't function with what you're giving it for nutrition.
Okay, so I'm going to stop this there. Who this person is very relevant to what this person's saying and what I'm teaching. And what I do goes above and beyond what she's even teaching. This is from basically the Gerson therapy, which is now in Mexico. They treat cancer. They did it with coffee enemas. And I'm not a fan of stimulants, but their treatment does work as far as I know. And it had to be pushed to Mexico because the United States only allows 3 treatments, which is surgery, radiation, or chemo. You cannot do natural ways. You have to do one of those 3. They are forbidden any other way. So how does this relate to herpes? Well, what did she just tell you? They have treated, actually not just her, when Gerson was out in the, I believe the 40s or 50s, he had over 400 people that were sick in the hospital of diseases that were incurable. They fed them all on raw vegetables. And they tried and actually failed because they didn't know that one of the nurses was sneaking in hot dogs, beer, pastries, and they weren't healing. And Gerson was devastated at that time. So then they put them all on raw vegetables for 2 months, and they all healed but 4. And this was over, I believe, almost 450. And this will be in another video that will show this information, or you can look it up, Gerson therapy. And eventually he was poisoned, the only time he was sick in his life, and that was his demise. And what happened with that, again, is left for the imagination, but I'm sure you can figure that out. The man was a genius for his time, and he was healing people from terminal diseases that were considered incurable, just like she is talking about nutrition, just as I talk about. So your body's always repairing itself. So can your body repair itself? Let's go ahead and listen to one more clip from her, and then I'll give some more closing information just to keep people motivated. If you're watching this video and you have herpes, you have HIV, this is curable with nature. And there's people that just rely on the oregano oil. The oregano oil is a very powerful spice. It's not going to get rid of it on its own. You need the overall nutrition. You got to feed the brain. You got to feed the cells. You lose cells every day. You can't just worry about something that's antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. Is it going to help? Absolutely. Is it solely going to get rid of the disease? Of course not. Not by itself. Drugs are even worse because drugs are killing the cells, ruining the function of your liver and your kidneys. Watch my video on liver function and you'll understand more about the eyes and the liver. So let's go ahead and continue this.
Whether you now call it arthritis or colitis, or whether you call it heart disease or kidney disease, or whether you call it mental disease, and I object to even the term mental disease. It's not mental disease, it's a disease for malfunctioning of the brain. All you have to do is give the brain the right nutrients along with the rest of the body. And that's another thing. When people think about brain or mental disease, it's separate from the body. It isn't. When the brain is properly nourished, the cells are properly nourished, they function right, you function right. Because your mind, your brain, your mental activity depends on the function of your brain cells. And it's very interesting. Your brain is a relatively small organ to the rest of your body. And the brain requires something like 2/5 of the oxygen of the body. 2/5. And the brain not only requires the oxygen, it requires the vitamins and minerals and enzymes. And it requires that you carry off the toxins. Where do the toxins come from? It's very unfortunate nowadays. Our soil is damaged. And Dr. Gerson said, our metabolism starts in the soil. The soil is our external metabolism.
Okay, so can you still get the vitamins and minerals that we all need from the soil if you're buying conventional vegetables, especially genetically modified vegetables? And the answer is no. If you're still eating those vegetables versus processed foods, fast foods, and all the junk, is it going to give you better nutrition? Absolutely, without a doubt. However, organic vegetables, which she just mentioned, which I always mention, are the best choice at the grocery store. Going to a local farmer or a local farmer's market would be the next choice. Growing them up on your own would be the best and most ideal if you can do that. However, this is why I recommend the antioxidant powders. And I have mentioned this in many videos, and I have a video solely on this. I will put the link there for people to look at if they haven't seen it, and there's 6 of them. This is going to give you the nutrients that you're missing from the soil and everything else, the vegetables and everything. It's all about the ORAC level, and it's all about giving the body what it needs and that vital energy from those raw foods, which she is not mentioning. It's a whole combination of everything. And getting rid of the parasites, fungi, yeast, that's how it all works, folks. So the people that have got rid of this disease are following that. The people that, hate to be blunt, and excuse my French, that are half-assing it, you're not going to get this done. You're going to have it a year from now, 6 months from now. You're talking to nutritionists. You're talking about people in the healthcare. They're not going to help you. So wake up, watch my videos. They're free. I don't make any money off of them. Learn, understand, and apply. Very simple. Thank you.